Hello and welcome to this episode of KD Weight Loss Podcast, KD Weight Loss Coach Podcast. I can't even do a fucking intro without bollocksing it up. But look, welcome to the podcast and I hope you're doing really, really well. So I'm actually filming this on a Monday evening, which is a massive change for me because usually I film on a Wednesday. I've been absolutely off my feet with trying to run my business recently, personal stuff, the kids are still at school, and I'm just going absolutely buck mad. But whilst I'm in a high period of ADHD and stuff like that, and I'm waiting for the downfall, I thought, you know what? I've got this idea ready to go. Why am I sitting waiting here till Wednesday? I've got other shit I need to do this week. If I can free up some time, I'm going to do it now. Maybe something we could touch on in a little bit later on in the world and how I use my coaching world. It's also the first one as well done on my new computer. So I actually turned to the dark. I can't say turn to the dark. So I've read up in an iPhone user for fuck knows how long. I always joke, but it's an actual serious thing. The autism in me loves the predictability and the consistency of an iPhone. It's nothing to do with how easy it is to use. It's just the fact it's the same every year. In that regard, I don't really care. I don't want customization like Samsung has or anything like that. I remember I tried to switch to a Google phone years ago and I love the idea of it. There was just too much to do and that overwhelmed me. I was like, fuck that. And then my girlfriend rips the piss out of me because she got 100 times zoom camera and I'm like, sweet. When I become a photographer, I'm going to use that phone. There's my ADHD, autism, fucking special rants for the day. But yes, this episode is actually going to be me talking about something I use with my client, okay? And I feel like it could help a lot of you very simply because the standard of weight loss is calories in, calories out. That is undisputedly how we lose weight, right? And no one's going to argue that point to death. You can have someone who says, oh no, it's done by keto, it's done by slim. It doesn't matter how it's done, it still has a calorie deficit. We know that. Eating a calorie deficit, however, is not fucking easy, okay, for most people, especially when you've got stressful lives. Again, like I talk about the typical routine of the women I work with, they get up and go to the gym for work. Then they get home. Then they get them and their partner up or the kids up for school, drop them to school, go to work a day in work without trying to pull the hair out, come home. Sometimes they pick the kids up straight away. Sometimes they go straight home. If they haven't gone to the gym, now they go to the gym. They got a prep dinner. They got after school clubs. They've got all the normal working dramas. All these bits are going on and you haven't even really put your time in yet. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's where you get the typical, we all have the same 24 hours. We honestly don't fucking have that. And I know I'm younger in comparison to a lot of people I work with, but the difference is I live the life of having a busy, stressful life at the end of the day. Yes, I now have the luxury of running my own business and I can kind of pick and choose my time to some extent, but I still have a very blocked up schedule. Let's call it that, blocked up schedule, because at the end of the day, with summer off, it's even more nightmare because all the kids are literally in this room opposite from me at the moment. They currently are, which is fantastic. They're obviously in that room typically and they're running around, they're popping their heads in when I'm filming this, when I'm doing my business stuff. It doesn't matter. Then when they go back to school, I'll help with drop-offs again. I've still got to manage my own client stuff. I will still be doing stuff late in the evening, like the football pickups and drop-offs and the bedtimes and all the rest of that. So I understand what it's like to have your hands full. When I was working in Tesco's and doing my business and doing that, it was even more fucking hectic. I kind of earned my right to have a little bit of time off now. But yes, I understand the problem of the average person in their 30s into their 40s in that regard. So when I say it's okay, I mean it's fucking okay. And when you can't be asked to cook dinner because you've had to cook 3 different meals because you've got different special needs in the household, I understand. Very relatable here. But yeah, basically what I did with my client is she was stalled at 184 pounds. So this woman started at 204 pounds, I believe, when she first started working with me. Caveat, she is on weight loss injections. She has been on them for about 2 months. She had a massive initial drop in weight of about 10, no, she went from 204. So she went from 204 to 188. That was it. So she went from 204 to 188. That was one of the big initial drops she had. Didn't happen instantaneously, but over the first couple of weeks, that's what happened. Bear in mind, she was also increased her steps. She started to train and stuff with herself, those sorts of things. We've been mindful of that. She seems to be doing quite well recently. But then she hit a stagnant part where she stuck at 188 for about 3 to 4 weeks, give or take. And she came to me at the end of one of our sessions, and it's very, very simple. And this is a statement I will hear until the day I stop coaching, I feel. Callum, I'm doing everything right, but I'm not losing weight. And she will walk me through everything. She's like, I'm eating lots of vegetables. I've stopped eating gravy, stopped having sauces. I've used spray oils. I've stopped snacking on this. I've cut out crisps. She would tell me all the positive things she's done. And she probably has done this, by the way, which I don't encourage you to do that sort of thing, by the way. I never actually want my clients to do that. But they always feel they owe it to me to tell me that's what they've done. And then they list all these things they cut out. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, right, okay. Well, let's look at the big picture. What are you having for breakfast? I'm having a little bit of this and so of this. Maybe a slice of toast, maybe a bowl of cereal, maybe this. But there's nothing bad. It's just they go maybe this, maybe that. And I'm like, okay, right, what about dinner? And dinners are maybe a few roast spuds and a few bits of meat, minced beef and stuff like that. And they give you all the good stuff. And it's because they have made an effort to change and try. So when they see things not rewarding them, it's quite hard to accept. But often there is a reason behind it. Obviously, at the end, if you're not losing weight, typically it can sometimes take longer. If you're it can take longer than people think. Like I said, it always takes, if you have no new low weights or no average weight changes in 2 weeks, then I make changes because that's how long it can take sometimes for it to shift. You didn't put all this weight on in a couple of weeks, you're not going to lose it in a couple of weeks. And again, if you've heard that 3,500 calorie theory, so 3,500 calories is a pound of fat in theory. If you had a 500 calorie deficit across the week, right, you would lose. So you had 500 calorie deficit across the week, right? So that means you'd eaten 500 calories below your calorie target across the week, right? That would take 7 weeks to lose a pound of fat, right? If you create a 1,000 calorie deficit, so 1,000 calories, oh my God, I can't do maths on the spot here. I'm going to ruin myself. Oh my God, what's calories? Let's say you had 150 calories off your diet below your maintenance every single day. I'm just doing that because 150 times 2 is 300 times 3 is 900. Another one make you over 1,000. So if you had 150 calories below your maintenance calories every single day, right, it would still take 3.5 weeks to lose that pound of fat. It takes a lot of time to shift weight, right? But this client got stuck at 188 for a while. But what we did in 1 week caused her to lose another 7 pounds. That is quite a big claim, right? And nor do I say this is the norm. She has a lot of weight to lose. That is the difference, right? She's not a tall woman. She's not a tall woman. She's on the large side in that regards to start with, but she has lost a lot of weight already. But she still has a lot to lose as well. So the bigger you are, the more you have weight to lose, the more weight that happens week to week. When you start losing more weight, you lose less weight as you move forward. Something most people don't appreciate. It's like, oh, the weight loss has slowed down. It's like, no, it's just you're smaller now. It's harder to lose that weight. And that's why chasing weight to the finite end is a stupid way of doing things. Because if you're only chasing weight, it just becomes harder and harder and harder. Your motivation absolutely dies and crashes because you don't get the reward anymore as frequently. And then you actually give up, which then reinforces the fact that you just put the weight on anyway. That's another story for another day. But anyway, I'm very real with all my clients. I want them, as I said to her a million times, I want you to lose weight as easily as possible. And what that means is, if you saw a video I did on Instagram the other week, I'll see if I can link it in the show notes to this. But basically, there's like a spectrum, okay? There's a spectrum, essentially. Okay, I just went to draw it for the view listeners, and I can't figure out how to do it right now. I'll learn that skill for next time. Too much new tech on this Mac. Fantastic, but I'm still fucking rookie on this sort of stuff. But basically, on this end, the top end of the spectrum, you've got the most intense, accurate, that give you the best result methods, right? Calorie tracking, macro tracking, that sort of deal. Down this end is stuff like intuitive eating. So it's less intense, less accurate, and it's more prone to error, and it takes longer to get results, right? That's the spectrum you work on, right? I want people down to this lower end of stuff, right? So if you're thinking on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 was that intuitive eating, 10 was that macro tracking. You want to be roughly between 3 to 6, maybe maximum most of the year, right? I wouldn't even go as high as 6, but you want to be around that area for most of the year. And this is where photo diaries come in, okay? Because it's a really easy way of gaining accountability, insights to portion sizing, insights to quality of food, which macro and calorie tracking don't always address. But it's also easy because you don't need to do this for 7 days a week. Because as I did with my client, we only do this for 3 days a week. So I said to her, look, I want you to have an easy weight loss journey, right? And we only need to do more when we need to do more, okay? So once it stops moving, then we'll try the next thing up. It's the same with your training in the gym. Stop doing the sexy stuff. Get good at the basics over and over and over again. Earn the right to do the harder stuff. You don't actually need the harder stuff for most of your years, most of the time in the gym even. You need that just a little bit every now and then, sprinkle in there just to keep things a bit spicy. Maybe you're thinking of the bedroom as well. I don't know why I said that, but point stands, spice it up every now and then. But yes, so I did a 3-day photo diary with my client. And I remember listening to this. I went to, what's it called? Perform X. There's an event in 2023 I went to in the Tobacco Dock in London. It was called Perform X, basically one of these big fitness get-togethers. Everyone's on protein shakes and fucking tight-fitting tops and Hyrox and shit like that, and military-style backpacks. I know I have one, but fuck you. I got one of them before it was cool, and I supported a local company buying mine, not a massive company. But yeah, it's literally just all of these little things, right? All these fitness things come together. And there's this dude who's a nutritionist. I think he was a Leeds nutritionist, maybe, for a special team. Yeah, he was a nutritionist for a team, and I can't remember what it was, but he said, your clients don't want to track, nor do you need that much information from them. He says, what he recommends is 2 weekdays and 1 weekend day, right? And all you're going to do is this, and it's brutal honesty, okay? You're going to snap a picture of any food, any drinks, any snacks, any nibbles, any bites, any munches, anything you put in your mouth. That's what she said. Anything you put in your mouth with respect that you need to track for food. You take a picture of it. The only caveat is you put your hand next to it to give basically like a reference for portion sizing, okay? And that's exactly what I got my client to do. I got it to do it for 3 days, okay? And it's really simple. At the end of each day, she sends it across to me with a bit of a summary. I had XYZ for breakfast, XYZ for lunch, XYZ dinner. This is what I had to drink, blah, 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 blah. We did the same for the next day, and then we did the same for the weekend. Then what I do is I go away and look at it. And this is the best part. Portion sizing is the easiest part. So the types of food available on the plate and portion sizing are the two of the easiest things I get to see. So on this client, straight away, what I noticed is that she had fantastic color on her plate, right? She had every vegetable under the sun on her plate, every fruit under the sun on her plate. It was fantastic. She was not going to struggle for vitamins, minerals, and fiber and all that sort of stuff. That was brilliant. However, every plate she had, bar dinner, which is very, very common here, by the way, was lacking a source of protein. A source of protein should be anywhere between 20 to 40 grams, right? And I always have this caveat when I talk about protein. I teach my clients this a lot. You might have a meal that has 20 to 30 grams of protein, right? I want your main source of protein to have that in it alone. So you might make a sandwich that has 25 grams of protein, but you might have got 10 grams from the bread, 5 grams from cheese, and then only 10 grams maybe from the rest of it, right? I want your chicken, your ham, your beef, your salami, whatever it is, your major source to be at least 20 to 30 grams. The reason being is because then you're having a really clear source of protein and you're not firing and gathering extra calories from other foods, because protein sources that you use in your meals tend to be lower in calories naturally, right? So if you get the protein from a lower calorie source to start with, and then you add up, build around it, you tend to spare calories that way. So all I said to her to do is to add a key source of protein. I referred her to my protein guide then, and it was as simple as that. So she got my protein guide, off she went, boom. I can feel all the claims that a Spartan me is bad for me going through the comments. They saw that on the video. It's not. Ignore that. Yes, so protein was an issue. So the types of food on her plate. There was also very little fats as well. So I sent it to my protein guide for the protein first to give her examples that she put into exact portion sizes of these types of food. She can pick and choose the one she wants, and that's from there. And again, this is a resource that I give to all my clients in my group and in my one-to-one coaching. Again, if you want to keep an eye on my new group coaching, that's going to be released soon. I'm actually just kind of testing it at the moment just to refine it with my current clients, and then I'm going to do a full launch on it. So if you want to actually keep an eye out for that, comment the word group below, and I'll send you some details on what's coming up soon. But basically, I'm going to run a special offer of a reduced price permanently for the first 10 to 15 people. Haven't decided on that exact number yet. But yeah, so that's what we did with the protein guide. And then I also looked at fats as well. I looked again for female, coming up to menopause particularly, but generally women need a higher fat percentage naturally because of their hormone production. You want at least 20% from your calories, obviously. So eyeball is a bit different. So again, I recommend a key food source that she can incorporate at different meals and stuff like that to help her with this target. So that's just food types. Portion sizing as well, like I said. So I explained one of the meals, which is very beige on one of the meals, right? I explained if you use the plates, right, as a guide, obviously you can do this slightly differently, but I always say you want at least half the plate full of color, and she was doing that fantastically well. Then you have two other quarters and segments, basically, if we exclude fats just from this example, for example. I just said, for example, back to back there. So you have half the plate full of leafy veg, color, tomatoes, peppers, you name it, whatever you want, right? Really greens and stuff like that, carrots, you name it. Then you have a quarter protein and a quarter carbohydrate. So a quarter protein is the most important first. Get that serving of protein, 20 to 30 grams. The remainder of that plate, the remaining quarter or small portion of that plate is then your carbohydrates. The thing that is easiest to overeat is added last, and the thing that is going to be more likely calorific is added last. It is not saying you can't have it, it's just to say that the portion size on that plate has been flipped around. I did this to one of my clients who has lunches cooked for her at work, and it works fantastically. It's like, look at your plate in a certain way, fill it up in a certain order, eat it in a certain order, and then you'll feel fuller. You'll get the right foods into you sooner, and then you'll be less likely to overeat as well. It's all the same of applying a calorie deficit without saying track your calories. So simple. And this took minutes. Again, I did all this kind of like analysis and like looking at the photos and that sort of thing on the way back. And then we met up in the next session. I showed her that exactly. And we put those targets into action. And it was as simple as that to see how it works. And she was like, oh, no, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And this is the important part. She has come from a Slim World background. And Slim World, again, I can see Slim World on her plate. It was all color and vegetables and free foods like potatoes, pastas and rices, I think. Can't remember exactly which way around it is, but you know the foods I'm on about. Like, there were free foods everywhere. The Muller Light yogurts, you just know the foods that they promote and have deals with. But it was full of free foods. Didn't have the protein, which is very common in Slim World. Didn't encourage about weight training, very common in Slim World. You could see she came from that background. The other thing as well is I said to her, I was like, well, we haven't done your measurements yet. Let's do your measurements, okay? So we've done our measurements, stored those. Then the weigh-in etiquette. This is something that will show you what true weight loss actually looks like and shows you more weight loss quicker. If you weigh in the evening what you are doing is guaranteeing you do not know if that number on that scale is legit. If you haven't eaten, you can make that scale lighter in the evening. If you've eaten a salty meal, drank lots of water that day, you could be a lot heavier than you were last week. Only to be questioned by Susan to be like, so what we're going to do this week to make sure you get a drop next week? I'll eat more free foods. Yeah, like that's going to fucking help Susan. Fuck off. I was going to say Karen, but I thought that was a common one. Susan as well, I suppose. But you get my point. It's so common. Weighing in the evening is problem number one. You've got so many food and drink variables, exercise variables that can just affect you. The heat from the sun can fucking affect you in the evening. I'm not saying my method is the best or completely flawless, but waking up in the morning, first thing, going for a wee, jumping straight on the scale off that with no food in you is the most consistent you're ever going to get in the day. So it's the most repeatable and reliable. When you come from a science-based background, you realize you know how important that is. Slim world don't apparently appreciate that. I know they're going for convenience. Absolutely fair enough. And then we can talk about the shaming as well. Although they don't try to shame you. There has been cases of lots of shaming, by the way. Well, they don't try to shame you. Public weighing and then hearing the, ooh. There's always that ooh, isn't there? Hearing that is a way of making someone feel shit. I don't know what the actual technical emotion is there. Embarrassed, shamed, whatever word it is. It's just not the way you should do things. So she had come from that background. So I taught her how to weigh properly, how to take photos, how to take measurements properly, how to talk to her about why the weight is going to change, how we're going to see fluctuations across the week. You're going to lose a bit. It's probably going to stay the same, and it will stay the same for a while. Then you lose a bit more. It will stay the same. And the more you do this, the longer that static period of where the weight stays the same will happen. And you might get small increases before you get bigger drops. The amount of times when my last clients had it, Mrs. I always call her, the amount of times she was like clockwork. She'd always put a pound on before she dropped 2 to 3. Always, hands down. It was just without a fail. I also remember I got a text from her the other week, by the way. She managed to drop below sub 200 as well. I was so fucking made up when I heard that. But anyway, back to this client. The point is, you don't need to track calories. You need a method that helps you improve what's on your plate so you naturally eat lower calories. I favor calories and protein to start with most women. Okay, this client was different. She doesn't want to do that. I'm cool with that. Nor am I going to force that on you. Most coaches be like, no, you have to do this. That is expectation. I have expectations of my clients. What way of tracking is not the way of I have an expectation of. I have an expectation on you to show up for yourself, but to also give yourself grace and empathy and compassion when it's required. Not to beat the living fuck out of yourself when you have a slip up or anything like that. The only expectation I really have is that you be honest. That's it. Tell me the truth. Reach out when you're struggling. That's it. I really don't ask for too much. But this client learned that her weight's going to change, and it's going to change in a set way, and we can't predict it. We can do all the right things, but you still cannot control that scale. I've explained this like gambling before. It's like putting all your coins in and just waiting for those dials to change. You will eventually win, but you will have invested so much before you win. Sometimes you invest less, sometimes you invest more. You don't know, but you're always going to be left struggling for more if that's the only thing you chase. So we're focusing on her in the gym. Can she squat down and get back up without it hurting her knees? One of the other weeks, right? It was only 2 weeks ago. She did a session with me and it hurt her because she had to get down to the ground and then get back off the ground. That hurt her. Last week, we tweaked the warm-up, did the same workout, didn't have sore knees the next week. The warm-up originally where she had to get down to the ground caused her a problem. That is the level of real I work with, whether it's in person or online. In person is always different because it tends to be more training focused, whereas online people, it's more of a whole lifestyle change. It's such a different experience. So if you haven't done this before, yes, the one annoying thing is you do need a coach typically for this, to someone to review it for you. If you're really smart, you can get ChatGPT to do it for you. But can't be asked to do that because I don't want to pay for ChatGPT. I don't really use it that much. I'll use it for a handful of things, that's about it. Look, anyone's listening to this podcast, I'll do you a favor. I will do one day of a picture diary review for you. So if you take if you take one day, go to everything you eat and drink on that day, send it to me. Be honest. Don't clean up your diet. Just eat what you eat. Send me pictures of it. Okay. If you want this, comment photo below in the podcast because I'll need to give you my details to be able to send it across. And I'll do that for you. That's going to be my free little treat for anyone who's listening to this podcast. And like a little incentive, whether you've worked with me before, whether you've never worked with me, anything like that, that's my little treat for you. To show you that we can make changes without even tracking your calories. Whether it's increasing your protein, reducing your calories, increasing the quality of food, helping you lose weight. So hopefully that does help you in that regard. And as I've already dropped before, I'm going to explain a new thing I'm building. So I have been doing one-to-one coaching for a long period of time. And it is a premium service. And unfortunately, the cost of that is high because I put so much of my time into it. I have clients where I have calls fortnightly with them. I have clients where I will voice note them regularly. I have clients where I will, I text them every single day, multiple times a day. I am talking to them. Fuck knows. I can spend more time texting them than I text my friends sometimes, right? We are doing video feedbacks, form feedbacks. I am doing video replies to their nutrition diaries, all these sorts of things. Very intense, direct stuff to them. I am customizing their own program, writing a program for them, writing their nutrition for them, specific targets for them. And that's great. And like I say, it's a premium service, but not everyone can afford that, right? And I've always had a mantra of I want to help as many people as possible. So what I'm doing currently with this group, my one-to-one clients, is helping to establish the next tier. So I'm testing a group program with them currently, right? So they are keeping their one-to-one coaching in terms of what they get from me, in terms of their training program, their nutrition, etc. With the group program, what I'm trying to build is basically a community of people with these current clients, right? Where I've built a specific area where you can ask questions to me, right? What are you struggling with this week? What do you want to know more about? That sort of thing, right? And I'm going to do a weekly Q&A in this group to answer that. So if you ask a question, I can take your exact question. And if you have specific details, I am blah, 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 X height. I am this many weight. I have been doing this many calories, X amount of days. This is what my fitness plan looks like. If you ask me more detail, I can take that as a case study, review it on the live Q&A, put your advice out there so everyone can see the advice, but you get custom tailored feedback from a group program. I don't know any group program does that. Most of them is just answering general questions. I'm actually giving the opportunity to actually have a fully personalized answer in this group program. If you get lucky enough to have if you submit more of your answers, there will be other sections in it. So one of the biggest things that I find with clients with women are, for example, high protein breakfast. I'm going to have sections in there where I'm going to stimulate conversations between you. Be like, all right, guys, what we're struggling with this week today. Okay, so I want to know your top high protein breakfast when you're in a rush. I want the women in my program to share what they do because I don't write meal plans, right? I help you tweak the current foods you have based on what you like and improve it based on portion size and stuff like that. And by doing that, these are real people sharing with you the things that got them success in the first place, sharing their wins, how they lost 5 pounds this week, how they hit a new PR in the gym. I want to build this community up to show you that it is a piece of the puzzle that you are actually missing. Once this is finalized and I've tweaked it accordingly, I'm happy with it. I'm going to release an actual group coached program where the program is written for women very similar to yourselves, right? 2 to 3 day full body program with an optional condition day if you want it, okay? The aim is to give you a really complete program that you can take and make to fit you. So you can do 2 days a week, 1 day a week, 3 days a week. You can still get the most from it. You'll have calorie and nutritional targets to get you aiming in the right direction. You can share your feedback in terms of you can share your feedback within the group, how you're doing. Each week you have a mini kind of like a mini reflection that you'll be able to submit. Then I can kind of like summarize kind of things I'm seeing in the group, and we go from there. The aim is to get you the same transformation I would get with my one-to-one, just with a little less contact to make it more affordable. So you still have me talking to you and coaching you in the group. You just don't get as much of me in terms of the phone call, the direct check-ins, the direct kind of like in your pocket communication. You'll just get me via the group chat instead. But look, this is something I'm building up, and I'm really keen to build up a list of 10 to 15 women, like I said. So if you're someone who's super interested in this idea or want to even know a shred of more information about it, cost, logistics, anything like that, DM me the word, comment the word group below, and I'll send you more information. I just wanted to plug that in there because I sometimes struggle to plug these things in anywhere. And I thought this would be the best place. But hopefully this episode helps you today anyway. If it's, like I said, if you want to take me up on that offer, just comment the word photo below, and I'll do 1 day free photo diary review for you. Until next time, guys, I'll speak to you soon. I'm Callum. Take it easy.